Hello, welcome back to Liberation Tarot. This is Leah, and happy full moon in Scorpio. So today we're going to be doing a relatively ambitious tarot spread, which is the Celtic Cross. I'm actually relatively new to the Celtic Cross, but I've been trying to learn about it so that I could do it with you. And so I'm excited to do this together. And before we jump into that, I want to talk a little bit about what the full moon in Scorpio entails. So the full moon in general has a lot to do with heightened emotions and a very climactic event. So it's a great opportunity to fully embrace and a great opportunity to fully release. And it feels big and sometimes a little drunken and out of control. So it's good to find some balance and some gentleness in that, because it can feel a little wildly electric, which is great most of the time, but it can also be hard sometimes. So, and then the Scorpio part. Scorpio is super soulful and also has a lot to do with like the darkness. And I, like many witches, love the darkness. I love the night. I love working with my shadows. It can be hard work, but it is incredibly rewarding. And Scorpio and full moon is a great time to approach your own shadows, so the traumas and the parts of ourselves that we tend to not want to touch and not want to think about, and yet there's so much healing to be had there and so much growth to be had there too, and so much we can learn from the shadow parts of ourselves, and a lot of creativity is packed in the shadow parts of ourselves. Maybe you've had a time when you felt really emotional and creative. It's just all related. If we can get in touch with our inner shadows and our inner darkness, it's like entering the void, the mystery. There's a lot that can grow. Everything grows in the dark, so anything can grow there. So yeah, we're going to be doing the Celtic Cross spread, and the question that I have is related to the Scorpio and full moon, and it is, how can we as a collective, so that means all beings, and I'm talking about human beings because, you know, that's who I'm talking to. You're probably not watching YouTube if you're not a human being, but you never know. How can all we as a collective heal? And by healing, I mean heal ourselves through that shadow work, working with our traumas, growing, finding that deep-rooted self-love. Heal our relationships, be in authentically reciprocal, regenerative relations with one another. And through all of that, that heals our relationship to the earth, because our connection to earth is so deep within us. So many of us, we get disconnected. So healing involves reconnecting to that earth, which helps the earth heal from the many wounds inflicted upon the earth by us humans. So that's the basis of the spread, and I'll show you a picture here with the numbers. Those numbers indicate the order in which I pull the card, and later I will explain more about what that placement means. So yeah, let's get going. First I'll clear the deck. I actually have some candles lit here, so something I'll do sometimes to clear is I'll kind of hold it over a candle like that. Interesting. The Eight of Swords fell out. So Eight of Swords is all about feeling like you're stuck. Like you're sort of deluded in your thinking. You think you're really stuck where you are, but really you could just walk away. So it seems like it's relevant in the midst of thinking about healing. Calling on my spirit guides, ancestors of the past, present, and future, loved ones. I'm calling on the spirit guides and loved ones of all beings in all the world, and all of those spirits and loved ones that have all of the collective's best interest in mind. Please come forward. We seek guidance and clarity. We're so grateful. We honor you. I burn these candles for you and this incense, and I'm cleansing some water here for you. We honor you. We seek to live in an honorable way. And it's hard sometimes because so much has gone awry for us humans. Things have gotten real tangled, and there's been so much violence and sadness and trauma inflicted that didn't need to be inflicted, that was not natural to this process. There continues to be so much dishonesty, confusion, and greed, and it's driving a status quo that is destructive to ourselves internally, to our relationships, and to the earth. We as a collective, we seek healing. Whether we know it or not, we all seek healing. Help us to heal. I want to know, how can we as a collective heal? Oh, a card popped out, and it's a wonderful one. The Three of Pentacles. Collaboration, cooperation. That's a wonderful path to healing. How do we as a collective heal? How do we as a collective heal? How do we as a collective heal? All right. I have to move things out of the way. It's a big spread. So there's a lot of really interesting and amazing information going on here. So first we have the heart of our spread is Temperance. That's the card that's underneath the King of Swords in the center. And it's Temperance reversed, and Temperance reversed is in the number one position, which is considered the heart of the matter. And I'm taking this to mean right now that we as a collective have lost a sense of balance, and the fact that it is crossed by the King of Swords. The King of Swords is a rather emotionless, sharp, mind-oriented character, which in this case I'm sort of taking to represent the patriarchy and the overemphasis on science and technology. I'm not saying science and technology aren't great, but they need to be balanced, and they're way out of balance. So I think just the driving forces of capitalism have thrown us out of balance, and that reverse temperance crossed by the King of Swords is showing us that. And then running up and down through the heart is the bottom card, number 3. That's the unconscious or the root of the situation. On the top, that's the crown or the conscious aspect of the situation or our desires. So at the root, we see the 7 of Pentacles, which is really wonderful because the 7 of Pentacles is often depicted as someone at a garden and they're waiting for their fruits and vegetables to come in. So they're waiting to appreciate the fruits of their labor, but it's taking a little bit of time. And so if that's at our base, that's our unconscious root, then that means we have the patience to see this through. We have the patience to do the changes and wait for the progress to be made. And so that feels like a calming card to have at our root, which is nice at a full moon in Scorpio to have a very calming root. And then at the top, so that's number 5, the crown, you see strength reversed. And so what I'm taking this to mean is we want to use our strength, but we're holding ourselves back. So much tells us that we can't be our full, powerful, soulful selves because there's no room for that in this busy world where you have to do X, Y, and Z. And right now it's coming up as a blessing, the crown of this situation, and really indicating that we need to step into that right now because it's a blessing and we shouldn't hold ourselves back. So strength down to 7 of Pentacles through the heart, that's the depth of the situation. Now we're going to go to sort of the breadth of it or the length of it, from left to right. So left of the heart is the universe reversed. That's in the number 4 position. And that's what came before. So it's temporal from left to right, and the past is on the left. So number 4 is the past. So the universe reversed. The universe is all about these major transitions, like you've completed this cycle and you're moving on to be reborn into a new cycle. And when it's reversed like this, and especially in this situation, I'm taking it to mean we've had opportunities in the past to really transform as a collective, to make major shifts and start a new cycle together, and we've missed them. We just either didn't recognize them, didn't believe in them, were afraid of them, we didn't take them. So lost opportunity because there was momentum, there was building, and there wasn't that closure and closing down and rebirth into something new. And then to the right, so that's number 6, is 2 of Wands reversed. So that position is what's coming in the near future, like the next few weeks. And 2 of Wands is all about like a major decision that's really hard, that you kind of have to shut out all the noise in order to make that decision, and it's reversed. So that indicates that there's going to be a decision and it's going to be really hard to make. We're going to be confused about it. And these decisions continue to be hard, making a decision about how to live one's life, what you're willing to sacrifice, what your certain privileges might mean, and what you're going to do about it, and how to show up in the world and be a better ancestor. These are all decisions, and not making a decision on those is still a decision. It's just a decision without intention. So be decisive and be honest about the decisions that you're making in your life every day. And then the number 7 card is the bottom of that pillar of cards, that 4 pillar cards on the right. And those 4 cards kind of help guide the future of this. So the number 7 position is all about the youest you. It's a piece of advice for you that can give you guidance throughout this whole situation. So we got the 8 of Swords, which is, makes sense. We just accidentally pulled that, flipped itself over earlier in this video. So 8 of Swords, we're all in this forest of illusion. There's a thick veil over everything, and smoke and mirrors and confusing messaging that's built out of making money and in no way trying to teach us anything real or authentic, and it's draining ourselves internally. We believe really negative things about ourselves. It's draining ourselves externally in the world. We limit what we think we can do because we move through pathways that are predefined for us, and it completely defines and gives us the language we believe we have to speak when there are infinite possibilities. And as a collective, we can redefine and rethink, and in order to do that, we have to recognize that we're in a forest of illusion and walk away. And then above that, we've got the Seven of Cups, which actually has a sort of some similar vibe to it. It's about illusion and temptation. Like, there's so many choices, and it's so hard to figure out which one to make, and they're all kind of shiny, and which one is authentic and which one is just not going to provide you any sustenance. And so that position, sorry, I forgot to say, that's number 8, and it's the environment that we're working in. And then above that, number 9, that's our greatest hopes or greatest fears, and it's the Ace of Pentacles. So in this way, we hope for the feeling of fresh stability, beginning something anew, and feeling a really deep sense of abundance in that new phase. And our fear is that we're not going to have that. And then the top card, number 10, is the potential outcome if we go business as usual, like if we don't heed advice from this card. And that's the Tower reversed. So pretty much like destruction, disintegration. And the fact that it's reversed to me indicates it's destruction and disintegration without the fruits of it, because the Tower is beautiful, even though it's really, really hard, because it breaks you down, and then you're born anew. You're softly opening your eyes on the beach after having been just so stuck for so long. And with it reversed, it's almost like we're not even reaping the beautiful rebirth of it, but just the destructive components of it. So that is why it's good for us to listen to the advice of the spirits. And in this case, the spirits, I'm talking to them through tarot, and you are communicating with them through tarot too. So here's some things we can learn about this. So there's 7s showing up in a number of ways in this spread. So there's 2 7s, a 14 and a 21, Temperance being 14 and the Universe being 21, and those being multiples of 7. Gosh, it's been a long time since I thought of that term. So yeah, 7s are about determination. So I think there's a lot of determination being asked of us in this spread. And the spread is like forcing us to turn towards what's really happening. And what's really happening, you can see right in the heart of the matter. Our balance, our harmony, our alchemy is being crossed and blocked by the patriarchy and by capitalism and by this overemphasis on our constant mental energy to the detriment of our bodies. And our bodies are very important in being able to connect to our emotions and to the earth and to a sense of rootedness. So the other thing that I'm noticing is there are 4 major arcana cards, and they're all reversed. So major life transitions that we're talking about, karmic upheaval essentially. But with this added touch of the bin being reversed and this sort of confusion or lack of clarity around it, and also this like resistance to the change. We are so human. We often resist change. It feels strange. It feels uncomfortable, and we can resist it. But it's important that we allow it so that we can actually move into a transformational and new world together and do this differently. So the Tower, the fact that it's the outcome card, I think we should look at that and say, okay, I want to do this in a way that's less destructive. There's more healing along the way, but we still get the powerful fruits of rebirth, right? So maybe a more subtle tower, or it's the tower, but it has beneficial fruits and change. So if you want to change the outcome, which is what I'm suggesting, which you can look at that and say, hey, maybe we just need that. Maybe we just need the tower. And that's another way to think about it too. And definitely it's on my mind too. But I'm going to go down this other path. So if we want to make the tower less destructive and get the fruits of that disintegration and rebirth, we got to do some things. We got to, first of all, we got to look at a few different cards here. The root card, the number 3 card, 7 of Pentacles, reminds us that at our core, we are patient and we can make the changes and await the changes. So if we want to try something more subtle, maybe a more sort of slow revolution, that is a possibility too. Another thing to look at it is the 2 of Wands, reversed in the number 6 position. That's the near future. We have a decision to make. So if we want to avoid this grander, harsher destruction without beneficial fruits, make a good decision. Look at our lives and decide every day how to live it in accordance with your own personal well-being and healing and the collective well-being and healing, and be honest about it. And it's hard, and part of 2 of Wands is you have to shut out the noise. So be willing to go into the woods and meditate and silence it. And if you don't have that option, be willing to shut the windows of the cars honking and just listen to your own body humming and be honest with yourself about the decisions you're making. The other place to look if we want to change the outcome is the 8 of Swords, and that's telling us that we need to walk away from this forest of delusion, and we need to recognize that so much of the media is confusing us and doing it for their own profit, and it's harming us and creating false realities that we get sucked into, and it feels very, very real, and it distracts us and it saps our energy and keeps us scattered. And we need to walk away from that and from the 7 of Cups and the position above it, so that we can hear ourselves think in the 2 of Wands, so we can find our balance in the Temperance, so we can allow this great transformation to happen, unlike in the past with the reverse universe, where we just failed to let that transformation happen. And we have to believe in the power of our own strength in order to walk out of that forest, because it's scary. It's often things we know, and it's so crazy to really recognize when we've thought about something wrong for our whole lives. Every time it happens to me, it blows my mind. I cannot believe it. And now it's happened so much that it makes me excited for what I don't yet know, that I don't yet know. And so we have to get excited about that and be strong through that and take care of ourselves through that and make the powerful decisions and trust in our own rootedness and patience and abundance, so that when we make this transition next, it can be less destructive, less violent, more equitable, more sustainable, and bring everybody along. So it's a really powerful spread under a really powerful moon, and it's definitely feels like it's pushing me to face myself and face the world. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the spirits, and I hope you found some nice nuggets of wisdom in there too. And I'm really grateful you could be here, and I hope you have a beautiful and blessed full moon. Bye. Thanks.